Hello, doctors. How are
Hello.
you?
Good. We are waiting for your homework. I start
You
sounding like
sent
a.
it. I think
You
don't
sent it.
my
No, we have not received it. We only receive.
my assistant sent it to you. I think last night or last day, maybe
Oh,
yesterday. Did you
no,
check it once
we have
again?
not received it, I think.
You didn't receive it?
Mm,
It,
Could you
the
please resend it again?
just a minute. I will resend it. I think the email address which my assistant send it to you. Mehran, its name. Let me check. The email address which he sent to, I think, escape. Uh, let me see. Yeah, this email address, which is escape and eddsuds@un un.org.
So
Mm.
that is
I
the
can,
right email. We'll just have to double check internally. Sam, if you could just check with Nan.
I'm just resending it. Just a minute.
Sam is checking it.
Hmm. I just can't send it from here. Let me send it from my mobile. I don't know about the laptop equipment.
I will wait 2 more minutes. Just
I'm just resending it. Just a minute.
it's a quick announcement to those that have not sending their homework to us, but wish to make an interventions regarding the
Did you receive
homework.
it?
Could you please let us know through the text, through the chat box, so that we can accommodate your
I can.
presentations?
I just resend it. Could you please check it?
Yes, we are checking it.
Thank you.
Think I can, if you agree, we can start in a minute so that we will finish this on time. Yes, Mayor, we have received your homework and we are going to upload it to the deck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me start the sessions today. A very warm welcome. I know many of you are cannot wait to finish our trainings with the Mayor's Academy. So we have remaining 2 sessions coming. So firstly, I would like to welcome the distinguished mayors, our guest speakers, and also faculty members that set up time for today. Then the whole academy teams that makes today's session possible. So this module 6A of future pathways to finance urban projects, the idea behind the sessions is actually to have a collective understandings that city can actually succeed um, by tapping into their ability to finance its developments and infrastructure needs in a sustainable way. So we understand that. I think you are the first one to know that finance is a very complex word, but we also would like to underline that it has a lot of potentials and a lot of endless possibility. And the today's session is actually we try to deep dive into some practical approach by focusing on topics and the type of finance that are most likely to offer sustainable and inclusive solution for the diverse economic governance structures and that our mayor have in these sessions. So think as usual, we would like to provide a bit of housekeeping announcement. So, and if you, as I mentioned earlier, if you wanted or you wish to make an interventions regarding your homework, please do let us know in the chat. We will make it as based on the submission that we receive. So far, we have received 5 homework submission from the mayor. So for those who have not submitted or wish to make an intervention, please do let me know. For the this session, the co-organizer is myself from UNUIS. My name is Maestri Okidasari. And then I have Liz Villegas from UCLG ASPAC and Sanji Singh from ESCAP and also Tam Huang, who's all 4 of us working to make these sessions possible. So next, please. Think I have introduced the sessions while I was opening it. So for module 6A, there are 5 items that we will be discussing today. The first one is policy pathway for urban finance. Second one is on financing modality and constraints, which is mostly on you, based on your homework. And then we have expert coming in talking about gender responsive participatory budgeting and rapid on-source revenue analysis, and then we close today's with the some exercise on land-based financing. Next, please. This is our agenda for today. As much as possible, I would like to keep the time so that we can finish on time at 2 p.m. Bangkok time. Next, please. So before we actually move further to the mayor homework and discussing on the topics on financing, I would like to invite Ms. Sanjivani Singh to actually she will lay the groundwork of our discussion today. So she will discuss about future policy pathway for urban finance. So I think she will walk us through to the last thematic pillar from the Future of Asian Cities report, which is focusing on urban finance. We will hear from her strategic solutions to overcome financial challenges and extend the options for municipal finance and funding strategies that can help you to meet the capital and operational expenditure requirements. So because I noticed from the homework, many put down that capital and operational expenditure actually one of the key challenges in implementing the initiative. Sanjay, I will stop here. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Oki, and good morning, honorable mayors, academy partners, and colleagues. It's my pleasure to be here today and talk through urban finance. And as Oki has indicated, the presentation and what we will share today comes from the Future of Asian Pacific Cities 2023 report, which focuses on crisis resilient urban futures. And all the information is there, and this presentation is extracted from chapter 4. And today I'm speaking on behalf of Kurt Garrigan as well. So in terms of urban finance, I think we all know that urban finance is one of the most important aspects of the academy. I think the academy has gone through several modules. We started with how urban and territorial planning sets the foundation for sustainable development, as well as the importance of building urban resilience to manage future risks and leveraging technologies to create smart cities. As Oki has mentioned, this is the final module, and this module is on financing, which is really the key that brings everything together and enables solutions and actions. In terms of today's presentation, we'll explore how urban finance has been affected by the pandemic, as well as other, multiple crises that the region is facing, and why it's really critical for mayors to be able to, address their financing needs in this, dynamic and dynamic environment. And as we all know, urban finance also plays a really central role in sustaining city services, building infrastructure, and ensuring that cities can really function smoothly. And post-pandemic, sustainable financial strategies have become more crucial than ever for a resilient future for cities, and especially in Asia Pacific, where the region, many cities are prone to disasters and also are dealing with the impacts of climate change. Next slide, please. So overall, just at a glance, if we look at the key challenges facing urban areas, the first one obviously is rapid population growth, which is putting immense strain on infrastructure and creating gaps in service delivery. And we're also seeing increasing inequality, with a significant portion of the population living in informal settlements. And I think this is, especially we see this in secondary cities that are rapidly growing. Climate change is also further exacerbating these issues and leading to resource depletion and increasing the vulnerability of cities. And then most importantly, there's a clear financing gap for essential services infrastructure, which local governments are struggling to fill. Next slide, please. So looking at the impacts of the COVID-19 on urban finance, and I think mayors are very familiar with these impacts, and the pandemic caused several disruptions to city finance, and essentially economic activity came to a halt, reducing tax revenue and as businesses closed, and resulting in unemployment soaring as well. Meanwhile, cities had to increase their spending on areas such as healthcare and social services and recovery efforts. And this combination of reduced income and increased expenses led to significant budget deficits, forcing local governments to rethink long-term financial strategies. And even currently, I think beyond COVID-19, cities are, continuously balancing out development and environmental priorities. And, there's a need to, address this in a much more holistic way. Next slide. So what are the key challenges for city finance? There's a couple of high-level ones that are highlighted in the report. One of the major challenges for cities in the region is their limited financial autonomy in generating, managing, and spending their financial resources. And many cities rely heavily on intergovernmental transfers and lack the ability to raise their own funds or access capital markets. And their finances tend to be short-term, and their finances are often tied to short-term budgets, which makes it hard to plan and to fund large-scale infrastructure projects. And without the ability to finance projects, then cities struggle to meet the growing demands of the urban populations, and especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. Next slide. In terms of strategic solutions to overcome these financial challenges, so a strategic approach, needs to be taken. Firstly, to overcome these challenges, cities need to diversify their revenue sources. This means expanding local taxes, fees, and exploring new financing mechanisms such as green bonds, which attract investors and attract investors with a focus on sustainability. Another one is public-private partnerships, which are also essential for sharing risks and resources between government and the private sectors, especially for large infrastructure projects. But obviously, these kinds of mechanisms require substantial capacity, as well as an enabling environment and funding. Next slide. So strengthening financial resilience in this context. So cities really need to be more transparent and need more transparent and equitable frameworks for intergovernmental transfers, right? That's the first thing. And a clear system ensures that funds reach cities fairly and in a timely manner. And obviously this requires additional coordination with national government and ensuring that there's an adequate enabling environment to support this. And then cities must also develop financial systems that can withstand future crises, whether it's economic downturns or climate-related shocks. And then the other thing that is emerging is that financial autonomy is key, and cities need the freedom to manage their own budgets and revenue to address their unique financial needs as well as their unique contexts. Next slide. So the report also goes into exploring innovative financial solutions and provides some key examples. The first one is around green bonds and climate resilient financing, which provides pathways to fund sustainable infrastructure projects as an option. Additionally, land value capture offers an opportunity to leverage increased land values from urban development projects. And I think later in the session, there's a session where Oki will dive a little bit deeper in terms of a case study and more detail around land value capture. Then the other emerging area is digital platforms can also help to improve financial management and tax collection, increasing transparency and efficiency. And many governments are adopting these platforms to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of their financial management. And then lastly, regional cooperation can also help to pool resources and knowledge to support local governments. Next slide, please. So just at a high level, this is an example that is quoted in the report on leveraging land-based financing. So one way cities generate revenue is through land-based financing, like land value capture. And this allows cities to capture the increased value of land that results from urban development projects. A great example is the Hong Kong Mass Transit Railway, where land value capture was used to finance the expansion of the transit system. And cities must align these tools with compact and sustainable urban development to avoid urban sprawl. So obviously, when we think about urban financing, thinking about how we can create more, compact and efficient cities to reduce the costs and bring about, synergies and efficiencies is important. And one way to do that is by promoting compact development. Next slide. So looking at public-private partnerships and digging a little bit deep into this. So public-private partnerships really are essential for funding major infrastructure projects. And a notable example is the Kon Kaen private rail network in Thailand, where local business leaders mobilized private sector investments to fund the city's first rail network. And to attract more private investment, cities need stable, predictable policies that reduce the risks for investors and create a win-win situation for public and private sectors. Next slide, please. And then the other key area is around climate responsive urban finance. In the current climate crisis, this is an important aspect. And as cities plan for the future, they must integrate climate responsive climate responsive funding as well as climate resilience into their financial strategies, right? Green bonds, climate funds, and other climate-focused finance tools can help cities attract investment for sustainable infrastructure projects, and they can attract this funding, regionally as well as internationally. And then finally, preparing for future climate risks, such as floods or rising sea levels, is essential for building cities that are not only economically viable, but also sustainable from a long term. So these are the kind of things that need to be incorporated as cities think about, how they make their climate financing, more resilient. Next slide. So these are the recommendations that are contained in the report. So I'm not going to go through them in detail, but these are the key recommendations, and these are available to support, city officials, mayors, and national governments and subnational governments to, really ensure that they're thinking about urban finance from a resilience perspective. Next slide. And then in conclusion, I mean, the key thing is that cities must strengthen their financial systems to be resilient in the face of future crises. And this requires the collaboration between governments, the private sector, and local communities. And the financial strategies we develop today will determine how well cities can grow sustainably and how they can face the challenges ahead. And it's really essential that urban finance aligns with the long-term sustainability goals and plans of municipalities. And I hope that was within 10 minutes, and that's it from my side. Thank you, Oki. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sanji. I think it's perfect. We are still within the time. So thank you very much for sharing some of the fine details on the I know innovative financing solutions. You mentioned also about green bonds and land value captures, regional corporations, PPP. I think I also saw that across some of the mayor's homework. So before we go, and I think we'll take what you have shared into the discussion later. So mayors, please allow me if I sort of like again later on ask you to engage more on the topic that Sanji has mentioned during her presentations, following your homework, the sharing of your homework. Before we go to the homework sessions, actually I would like to invite all the mayors and our partners to open the video so that we can take a photo just to documents our final modules for Mayors Academy. Liz has kindly agreed to take our photo, so I'll be waiting for another 20 seconds from the others to open their video. If not, I think it's
Right, I have a
yes.
problem with my video. Just fixing the video cannot open, cannot see. Sorry,
Yes,
doctor.
we cannot see you.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what happened. Let me check. Let us fix the problem for a while. I'm so sorry, doctor.
Okay, Liz, if you could kindly take a photo.
Alright, so
Oh, do we wait for Pangjaya or should they take it now?
I think you can go ahead. So it takes some
Okay.
time to fix the problem.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let me count 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get that. See if the
Great.
Let me
Thank
just
We can
save
try another one,
that
Liz,
and
a bit
oh,
later
sure.
when the mayor's available too.
Yes. We can take another one maybe towards the end. Great. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So let me move to the next agenda we have today, which is on the presentations of from the mayors regarding their homework. First of all, we would like to sincerely thank the mayors for preparing their homeworks. Although it's the homework format, it's just like one page. I think we require so much information from you. From the financial context, you need to strategize how to get this finance from, the benefit that you foreseen, both finance and non-finance, and the barriers, and also the step that you would like to take. The idea is that for this homework as the basis, as we move to get more, to fine-tune it for the next, the last session, which is on creating a bankable projects. So I think those information that you have shared today is actually create a base for us to think about, to discuss what are the opportunities or possibility that we can tap into those. So I would like first to invite mayors, honorable mayors from Chandragiri Municipality, Mayor Ganasham Giri, to share his homework with us. Mayors, you
Thank you.
have around 7 minutes because I think we have around 7 submissions. So today,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'm Ghanshyam Giri, the Mayor of Chandragiri Municipality. To address the financial resource requirements for developing a solid waste management system with a focus on waste reduction, segregation, and treatment with community engagement in Chandragiri Municipality, we categorize the needs into capital expenses, operational expenses, and indirect costs. The solid waste management initiative in Chandragiri Municipality will require financing for infrastructure development, likewise the capital expenses, including waste collection and treatment facilities, equipments, and land acquisition. Additionally, funds will be needed for operational and maintenance cost, expert consultancy fees, capacity building program, human resources, and community engagement activities. Indirect social costs include health impact on workers and nearby communities, as well as potential displacement due to land acquisition. Environmental costs could involve biodiversity loss, pollution management, and long-term mitigation of waste-related environmental damage. These categories should guide the planning and budgeting for the initiative, ensuring that all potential costs, both direct and indirect, are accounted. The integration of community engagement is crucial as it can lead to more sustainable practices and reduce long-term operational costs by fostering a culture of waste reduction and segregation at the sources. That means the source revenue collection, that means the one source revenue municipal tax, intergovernmental transfer from federal or provincial level government. And our financial capital expenditure and operational expenses, that means financing capital expenditures and operational expenses for a municipality like Chandragiri typically involves a combination of various revenue streams and funding mechanism. Here is an overview of common approach. First, own resource revenue. Municipal taxes, that is the main resources in our municipality. Property taxes, registration and renewal charge, fines, fees for services like waste collection, water supply, sewage, etc. And second is intergovernmental transfers. Central or provincial government's grants. We are getting the more grant money from the governments of provincial and central, regular transfers from the central or state governments to support municipal operations with a focus in solid waste management. And third is donor and international aid. Development grants, likewise the funding from international development organizations, NGOs, or foreign governments or projects related to solid waste management system. Second is technical assistance, non-monetary support in the form of expertise, technology transfer, and capacity building from international agencies. Fourth is public-private partnership, PPP models. Infrastructure development, likewise the collaboration with private entities to develop infrastructure for waste management, where the private partner may invest in and operate the infrastructure in return for a share of the revenue or other benefits. And we are engaged in any other PPPs over the few years now for this purpose. Collaboration with 6 private organizations for waste collection segregation. That means the private organizations are doing in here our collection of the waste management. That in our municipality there are the different types of the region. We are divided by the 6 cluster, and the 6th cluster they are doing in waste collection segregation and this type of the working. Women group in Ward 3 and Ward 4, supply committee in Ward 4 also are doing, and 80 solid waste collection workers working in all the wards. And door-to-door program, we have to awareness for awareness. 149 social women health workers, health volunteers, they are going twice a month, every month. Till now, the partnership with private sector is satisfactory in meeting the target of municipality. Our initial financial strategies are own sources revenue. Like first of all, our main resources is municipality tax, property assessment tax, income tax, registration and renewal fees, fines, likewise the other our resources. And second is intergovernmental transfer from federal and central and state level government. These are also our intergovernmental transfer. And third is our international aid, likewise the different type of the international agents in organization are working in our municipality. So international aid is also we are getting now. So PPP model, we are going to public-private partnership, also going to engaging in collaborating and partnering with the private sector and communities in future. And in consider ways to generate revenue from an initiative, particularly one focus on solid waste management with community engagement. There are several strategies and steps to explore. That means the potential benefit of our initiatives are user fees, charging household and businesses for waste collection services. The fee structure could be based on the volume or frequency of waste collection. And sale of recyclable, generating revenue from the sale of recyclable materials, likewise the plastic, metal, paper, glasses that are collected through the segregation efforts. We can manage the segregation. With the segregation, we can sell this type of waste collection. And second is sale of recyclable, generating revenue from the recycled materials. Third is compositing and biogas sales, selling compost produced from organic waste to local farmers or gardening enthusiasts, selling biogas generated from organic waste as renewable energy sources. And next is our determined revenue potential, likewise the market analysis. Conducting a market analysis to assess the demand for recyclable materials and compost, understanding local market prices and potential buyers in crucial. Cost-benefit analysis, estimating the cost of implementing the initiative versus the potential revenue. This includes capital investment, operational cost, and maintenance. Willingness to pay studies, surveying residents and businesses to determine their willingness to pay for waste management services or other related products like compost or recyclable. In comparison, comparing similar initiatives in other municipalities to understand their revenue generation models of outcomes. Non-revenue benefits, likewise the environmental benefits, reducing landfill uses and minimizing environmental pollution through effective waste management. Second is promoting recycling and compositing, which can decrease the carbon footprint and enhance soil health. Social benefits, improving public health by reducing exposure to unmanaged waste and associated disease, creating job opportunities in waste collection, segregation, recycling, and treatment process. And next is community engagement, building a stronger sense of community responsibility toward waste management, encouraging sustainable practices among residents, long-term cost saving. That means the reducing long-term waste management cost through effective segregation and recycling, thereby decreasing the need for new landfills and resource management center of expensive waste treatment facilities.
Pardon me, Mayors. Could you please wrap in 30 seconds so that we can have more time for discussions for other
Yeah,
mayors
okay,
as
thank
well?
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. To develop the finance strategy, the following steps will be taken. Access funding needs, conduct the detailed cost analysis, determine the total capital and operational expenses required for the initiative. Second is identify revenue sources, explore and evaluate potential revenue streams such as municipal taxes, user fees, grants, and PPP opportunities. Third is conduct facility studies, analyze the viability of each revenue sources, including market analysis, cost benefit assessment, and willingness to pay surveys. Fourth is engage stakeholders, involve key stakeholders, including community members, government agencies, and potential private partners to gather input and build support for the financial plan. Fifth is explore financing mechanism. Investigate different financing options such as the municipal bonds, loans, and grant to cover capital expenditure. Sixth is draft of financial plan. Develop a comprehensive financial plan that outlines projected revenue funding sources, repayment plans, and contingency measures. Seventh is secure funding commitments. Formalize agreements and identified funding sources, including the applying for grant and negotiating terms with private partners. Last is our monitor and adjust. Continuously monitor the financial health of the initiative, making adjustment to strategies as needed to ensure sustainability. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayors. I noted, I think, and also in our takeaway later to be discussed, I wanted to get back to you again later on specifically on PPP, as it seems that Chandragiri has a long experience in doing the PPP. I would also like for you to reflect what kind of incentive that you have in mind to increase the potential of engaging private sectors and also in the community. I would like to get your advice later on during the discussion on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And let's move to the next mayors to share their financing modalities and constraints. We would like to invite Honorable Mayor Ani from Ampang Jaya, Malaysia. Mayors, you have around 7 minutes. Mayor Ani, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to the presentation. Okay. I think I'm so sorry because I apologize because I think I didn't answer.
No, I think it's
The
you already
template.
provide us the meat for discussions later. Please.
Sorry for that. Okay. So my initiative is before that good morning, good afternoon, and also Assalamualaikum to everyone in the in this class. So my initiative is our smart city initiative is actually a real-time traffic management systems. So we chose this initiative because we can solve issues related with traffic congestion. So traffic congestion is actually a significant problem in many parts of Ampang Jaya city due to increasing population density and also growing numbers of vehicles on the roads. So to answer the template, the first template is what do you need to finance within your initiative? Wait, let me check what we have here. Cannot see the slide. God. Hold on, doctor. Give me some time to check. Okay. So what I need to finance within our initiative, because we need a capital expenses to upgrade the existing traffic light system with sensors and also smart cameras and also connectivity. So we also need to develop a system for real-time monitoring and also regular maintenance and continuous monitoring to ensure the system is working properly. So of course, we need we need a capital to invest on infrastructure. So what is financial context of your city? Of course, we have our own source of revenue, like we have our assessment tax, we have our revenue on compound and also on whatever smart parking that we provide for the residents. So that is part of our own source of revenue. We also receive allocation from federal and also state level that will actually assisting us in giving more funding, because we had come out with our smart city blueprint. So they know that when we have our blueprint, so when they want to give a certain allocation, they will discuss and look at what we plan for our city. And beside of that, also we are looking forward to have international funding also, but of course we don't know where to submit our proposal, because still there are many things to do, because we have to build up our proposal, before we submit to get the international aid. And also of course we are working together with the private sectors when we partnership with the service provider like DJ Cellcom and also Data. They are actually helping us in terms of, we have the data, we have all the data, we have all the junction and everything. We know where is the most populated place that we can install our smart junction. So with this data, we collaborate with the public private sector, because they have the solution. So we collaborate, we give the data, and they will actually come to us, and we discuss what we can collaborate in terms of cost sharing between the service provider and we as we providing the data to come up with the smart junction solution for us to get to ease the life of our city or residents. Yeah. So what is your initial financing strategy at this point of actually using our own revenue, but it is very limited revenue, because of course smart city is only is a dream come true, but because we cannot venture into smart city until we have a very good infrastructure. But before to get the good infrastructure on smart city, we need to invest certain amount of allocation. So at this point of time, we come out with the blueprint. Later, we will have some meaningful discussion with all these public partnership, so that we can come out with the best solution, because they have so many solutions at their side. Because if they have the solution but they don't have the data, so they also cannot going or move forward. So I think when we actually we have signed two MOU without DG Salcom and also TITA, which is actually a service provider for our smart city initiative. So still at the infant stage. So again, we are actually trying very hard to get the buy-in from the state level so that they understand what we dream of. Hopefully that from our proposal, they will pour, a good investment for us to build, to provide infrastructure for the traffic management system like the GPS, the dynamic messages, signs, the traffic lights, the road weather information system, and also the sensor that can predict the weather. So these things, when it is combined to help us to come out with our real-time traffic management system. And also, we also need infrastructure to integrate all this information at our command center. Even to have a command center, also we need to think of how we can get a donation or funding for that to have that our command center. So what are the potential benefits of your initiative? Of course, when we have this real-time traffic management system, it will improve the traffic flow in the most congested area that we had identified. So we are also can have provide better transportation, and also can this thing will make we will giving our services more efficient and more meaningful to the residents. Yeah. So again, what are the foreseen finance barriers and hurdles? Of course, it's very difficult to get returns for a short period of time, because that's why we need to plan where is our low-hanging fruits, when we can get benefits in the middle term and also on the long-term period of time. And also, of course, without that financial stability, we cannot venture into smart city initiative more than what we can plan for. So what are the steps for developing a finance strategy for our real-time traffic management? Of course, we need to think to other financials, like because we have our own endowment fund. We open this fund to everybody. If there are other party outside the city that would like, in the city or outside the city, that would like to working together with us for this fund. So because this fund will actually assisting us in developing more infrastructure, and also infrastructure and also infrastructure for our smart city initiative, because everything need to be put into place for us to plan for our smart city initiative, like fiberization, telecommunication, smart pole and everything. I think maybe some of the ideas that I can share here. Sorry, it's not so comprehensive because there are so many things to do. So,
Thank
I
you very
cannot
much,
just put
Mayor.
everything properly like what the previous one. So
Thank you very
so
much,
Thank you so
Honorable
much.
Mayor Ani. I noted here, maybe later also for the discussion, how would you link this traffic system with the whole more broader mobility smart cities? I think it's and I comment that I think it's already a good starting point that you put that there are a potential to collaborate with the private sectors regarding the data. I think in many cases, mostly in European cities, they do have this living lab on mobility where they actually collaborate with the private sectors and also the university in regard to data and what can be offered from the cities and also from university as well as from the private sectors. Okay, I'll note that and think we'll take it further for the discussion later. And for the next presenter, I would like to invite Honorable Mayor Balak Zerkasi from Turbat, Pakistan, to share his existing financial modalities and constraints related to his initiative. Mayor Kasi, you have around 7 minutes, please.
Thank you.
We can move to the next slide. I think we split your slides into two because it's exceeding the templates, I think. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. My my initiative is the Turbat Climate Resilient Initiative. First of all, finance initiative. I break it down from capital expenses, operational and maintenance cost, resource and capacity building, and then revenue sources. Turbat has two kind of sources. First, intergovernmental transfer, which are from federal to provincial and from provincial to local government, and other one is own source revenue, which is municipal taxes and property taxes and local taxes, such taxes. And the financial initial financing strategy, intergovernmental transfer. That's the first source which we can initiate finance, and own source of revenue, which is I mentioned that comes from the utility taxes, which are the municipal taxes such as and tool taxes. And third one is the international aid, uh, which we are seeking grant from international donors and organizations. And fourth, public-private partnership, which may we talk later as you speak earlier. What are the potential benefits of your initiatives? Turbat, primary purpose of the Turbat Resilience Initiative is not generation, but rather generation of revenue, but rather to enhance the city's ability to withstand and adopt climate-related challenges, which are affecting the cities most. Revenue generation is non-revenue generation benefits, but public health, resilience, uh, economic growth, and environmental preservation, what we are focusing, which are the potential benefits for the city. What are the foreseen finance barriers and hurdles for my initiative? Cost pressure, high initial cost for infrastructure and technology may strain the local budget. Second one, access to financial sources, limited local government revenue, which we can't afford to to execute such projects. Third one is economic feasibility. Uh, Economic viability, sustainable technologies context may pose it may be very challenging for Turbat, city like Turbat, which have very constrained uh, financial problems. Decision making, coordination, and approval processes across multiple governmental level can delay project initiative, because it's not we itself cannot make all the decision, because we are not generating all the revenue. So it can also be a very big challenge, because to seek fund and convince them for the project, and so it can go for the multiple decision making process. Institutional challenges, existing bureaucratic and infrastructure limitations might impede efficient implementation. Insufficient revenue, the city's limited on source that I already mentioned. Last, what are the steps for developing finance strategy for initiative? Step which are Turbat make have feasibility studies, conduct comprehensive studies and access viability potential proposed initiative. Cost assessment, evaluate the total cost, including capital expenses and ongoing operational costs as well. Consultation with financial institutions, engage with multiple organizations, banks, and NGOs to explore funding opportunities. Enabling legislation, work with the local bodies, enact policies, legislation, approval from the councils, and convincing the councillor as well for the proposed initiative. Engagement strategies with the private sector. Develop partnership with the private with the private companies interested in sustainable projects for investment and expertise sharing. So it's not only for we are not only focusing for funding, we also looking for expertise, technical experts which may help us to execute share their to help us to execute our initiative. Community involvement includes civil society and local communities in the planning and implementation process to ensure initiative meets actual need of residents against their support. After their support, we may can get the actual goal which we have for better turbat or green turbat. Monitoring and adjustment. Establish a system, regularly monitor financial performance and make necessary adjustment to the finance strategies. So I try to be very, to the point. So my homework has done. If anyone have the question, so you can ask.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayors. I noted that actually your initiative is sort of preparing climate-proof infrastructures, and then it's, I
Yes.
think, one of the main subject that were Sanjeev was discussing earlier with regard or climate responses urban finance. Think maybe our discussion later on land-based financing could be very useful for that, as if because you put forward on how to develop to deliver infrastructures, but with the climate proof, but then a lot of initial investment are needed for that. So I think but in the end, like, it's also climate resilient infrastructure is actually creating a value for you later on for the city to be able to attract more investment. So I think those are the focus perhaps that I could suggest for us to take forward for discussions related to your initiative, I think. So thank you
Yes.
very much once again. And I think I would like to invite Honorable Mayor Susila Sahi from Lamchuha Municipality, Nepal, to share her homework with us. Mayor Sahi.
Greetings, honorable mayors and faculty members of the Mayors Academy. I'm presenting on behalf of Mayor Sushila today, who apologizes for not being able to present. Moving on with the initiative, can we have the slide, please? Thank you. So the initiative that we've chosen to present today is inclusive and climate resilient public open spaces development in our municipality. So for this, we require capital expenses, operational and maintenance costs, expert fees, and human resources. In terms of capital expenses, we need to think in terms of infrastructure, various amenities. We also need to think about use of sustainable materials. That is also about investing in eco-friendly and durable materials. In the topic of operational and maintenance costs, we need to think about routine maintenance, utility costs, and also waste management in those public open spaces. In terms of human resources, we need to identify various people involved in project management, including field workers and volunteers. The financial context of our city is similar to any other city in the country. It has grants provided by central and provincial governments. We also have some sources of own source revenues like property taxes, local fees, and permit fees. At the same time, we also have grants and subsidies from various sources. And we also have some sort of public-private partnerships as well. Our civil societies and user groups are also active in helping us financing various projects. For this project, our initial financial strategy would involve intergovernmental transfer from the central and federal government, federal, central, and provincial are also thinking of subsidies in materials and engagement with various civil societies as well. Potential benefits of this initiative includes generation of revenues. In these spaces, various activities are already taking place, and we can enhance activities like installation of food stalls, kiosks for vegetable selling, etc., and generate revenue from those things. And at the same time, this project is more of an environmental and social justice kind of project, and we have various societal and environmental benefits, including improved quality of life, community engagement, resilience of climate, preservation of biodiversity. There is also a good chance of economic benefits in which we can see a boost in local economic activities and maybe even property values. Importantly, these open spaces can become a good source for shelter or good areas for shelter during various disaster conditions. And various educational and cultural benefits can also be gained from this initiative. There are some foreseen financial barriers and burdens and hurdles related to this. We could have limited financing. We could not have diversified our financial sources properly. There is a high initial capital cost. And at the same time, there might be various interests and interest from various stakeholders, and we may not be able to align everyone's wishes. And at the same time, we cannot deny that we have limited institutional capacity. And the steps that we need to take would include a proper feasibility study, cost assessment, engaging with all potential stakeholders, securing funding commitments, and of course, regular monitoring, evaluation, and auditing of the initiative. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for speaking on behalf of the Mayor Cecilia. Please, I would just before you turn off your your camera, I just wanted to ask just something to take notes regarding this climate resilient public open space development. Perhaps it would be very beneficial to move the initiative moving forward. More detailed information on where this park is located and how it links with the other urban infrastructures, for example. I think repeating what I've mentioned to Mayor Turbat, I think this type of project is actually quite area development is quite perfect if you look from the perspective of land-based financings, and it's then more information is needed regarding the status of the land, what is the surroundings, and what is the long-term planning with regard to these open space developments. Just quick to confirm, is this just one big space, or you were thinking about the mayor's thinking to have a more public open space in smaller scales in across the town? I think his video is freeze. Okay. Just one question. If you get my question earlier, so this public open space.
I'm sorry, I lost the connection there for a while. You're asking whether this is just for one public open space or a larger thing,
a
right?
larger or a connected open spaces. Yeah.
Not connected at the moment, but that is our plan for sure. Basically, what we're doing right now is mapping various open spaces within the municipality, and then we'll integrate various concepts of inclusivity and climate resilience within those projects. Especially, this is focused for women and other people who we group under the groups of inclusion. So basically, as you mentioned, it's not just one open space, but a group of open spaces that we are planning to intervene on. Thank you.
Great. I would love to hear more details on that as we move, I think, to the feedback sessions in the coming weeks. Thank you very much. So I would like to invite Honorable Mayor Virender Sharma from Mandi municipality in India, if he is here with us. Mayor.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Mayor Mandi.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Yes, please. You have around 7 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. So, good morning, all. As far as the initiative of the Mandi is concerned, we are fully focused upon the attaining the objective of clean city and healthy city. So it's a single line agenda that if we create a city very clean atmosphere and aesthetic atmosphere in the city, it will definitely lead all its citizens to live healthy life. So the agenda is clear that if city is clean, the people will be healthy. So the objective is clear: clean city and healthy city. So the financial initiatives which we want to do is funds for developing and implementation of communication strategy. Because due to the lack of behavior change among our city population, we have seen that people are unaware about the proper disposal of waste, especially at their source, at their household levels and at community level, which is creating so many hotspots in the city and making this city full of open dumping sites. So to check that, we need to have some behavioral change among the city, which is proactive, which is very sensitive towards the adoption of basic sanitation practices. Secondly, the administrative support we need to have in this initiative from the local self-governments, which can help us in providing human resource, transport, and surveillance support to check out the open dumping sites and to support the overall implementation of the initiatives which we have planned for the city. Secondly, yes, it is very necessary that infrastructure support is very essential with respect to the social and environmental assets. We have been creating so many big lands where the plantation of trees recently has been taken place by the MC. Secondly, the financial context, which we have been watching for last 1 decade, that the grants available in 14th and 15th finance, state government grants and funds which we have been created at our own level through taxes, to through selling our parkings, to imposing fees on parks, to imposing several kind of garbage collection fees, etc. And there is a little bit chance of getting CSR support from the corporate houses like big hotels, big hospitals, big institutions which are running over here. Secondly, our financial strategy is totally depends on the convergence and the dovetailing of financial resources which we already have. So the potential benefit of our initiative is, again, which is clear, that we want to make our city clean, which can help the citizen to live a healthy life. So this is our clear-cut agenda. Barriers, if we discuss barriers, so there are a lot of barriers, because in hilly state like Himachal and the small city like Mandi, we have always been facing the lack of expected funds, required funds, because our initiatives and our plannings were very happen on a very large scale. But as and when the financial resources are concerned, we are getting only 10-20% of our planning which we have planned for the initiatives. Likewise, if the government is providing us the grants and the funds through many schemes or many way of communication, but there is a lack of provision of spending that money on the projects, on the initiatives which we have planned at city level. So there is not having that much of provision available in the grants, so that we can easily spend this amount on our initiatives which are planned at the city level. So the steps for developing the finance strategy for our initiative is, again, very clear, that we will try to maximum convergence, maximum dovetailing, of the resources, financial, especially the financial resources available with the departments, available with the city who are working in a integral model, especially at district level. So this is what which we could have share with you in this short spell of a time on the behalf of Mayor of the Mandi, Shri Virinder Bhatt. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I think these projects is actually quite aligned with also with the Mayor Ghana. I think from the Mayor of Chandragiri that is focused on waste management, but I think Mandi is looking into more sort of like a broader perspective as well, that involving the behavior change. I think especially for during the feedback sessions, maybe we can benefit to hear more from the mayors with regard to not just the existing financial context, but also how the communities are planned to get involved in this project, especially because you mentioned about behavior change and reductions of waste at the source, which means that it requires a lot of participation from at the community level. I think those are, I noted that into my notes, and then we can move with the discussions. I think we have another slide, another submission from the mayors of Bako, but we haven't seen him joining us. So if it's possible, we can just move to the Miro board, where I think it would be beneficial for us to get the takeaways, and for you also to see what our notes on this and what might be missing from your financial strategies that that you can learn from the other submissions of the homeworks.
Sure, ma'am. Actually, we have made this presentation early this morning, and we try to submit as soon as possible. So sorry for the delay, and the next time we'll definitely put all the things very clearly in the web.
Thank you very much. Yes. Sam, could I please have the Miro board being shared? Yes. So this is the takeaways that colleague and I try to put from your initiative. We do notice that actually across of the submissions, everyone is putting quite similar on what kind of finance needs that you need within your initiative, which is capital expenses, operational and maintenance, and then the fees. This is including to do surveys, trainings, and what expert, and so human sources and indirect social and environmental costs. I think it's very helpful to also put the indirect social and environmental costs on whatever the plan, that initiative you have in mind, because in a longer term, it whatever the developments that you made, it may create a different social and environmental costs. For financial context, most of the cities are planning to implement their initiative using their own source of revenue. But we also noted that the barriers is actually high capital costs and revenue reductions, and as well as insufficient unsustainable funding sources. So I think we can start working on, say, looking into the own source of revenue, and as well as what kind of potential initiative financing, innovative financing that you can move within your jurisdictions. For financial strategies, I think cost saving is there, guarantee subsidies, and also quite innovative with the Mayor Annie mentioned some crowdfunding, and as well as CSR and public-private partnership. Those are quite potential to sort of like co-financing the initiative. And I think we should explore those further. I think maybe in the feedback session, we can focus on how actually we can sort of like generate more strategies to tap into this external funding. Think in the next module, we were talking about the making bankable projects. So we're bringing expert from ADBI, who's also from ADB, sorry, we discuss about how to actually prepare the projects to get the external fundings, especially from international funds. I think those would be very useful. And for potential benefit, I'm grateful that the mayors is actually take it further than what we have requested in identifying a non-revenue benefit. It's very crucial and quite helpful in creating the value of your projects to not just identify the financial benefit, but also the environmental, social, and a benefit that can actually help the community. So I also noted that community engagements are one of the key that you put in a potential benefit, but then it's also some of the mayor mentioned that community and stakeholder buy-in is actually one of the barriers to get. But so I think discussions in the previous modules on the community engagement and participatory approach can be very useful. I think early on this community buy-in should be pursued, especially if the project is actually related to land, fees, and those that is affecting the users. And then I put it in red here, the things that we thought it's a cross-cutting issues, which is regulatory and bureaucracy, administrative and political change. I fully understand this because some mayor's term in the office is limited, and many of these projects actually have a lock-in effect and tends to be a long-term projects. Then the capacity, including institutionals and human resources, are one of the key that actually to unlock other of the fundings, for example, access funding for international, you do really need to have enough capacity to do that, is including the institutions. And if it's related to land, for example, like land registry, land cadastres, data are very important. So for the next step, but I was very proud to see that actually the mayors are quite reflective on the forest and barriers, and then you see like what kind of the next step is very calculated on those how to maximize on the benefit and the working on the barriers. So I think this will be very useful for us during the more detailed feedback session to see the steps that you have mentioned regarding cost assessment, for example, and then exploring the financial mechanism, because to explore financing mechanism, indeed, you need to have first understanding what kind of funding needs that you have and what kind of cost that it will you will spend. To those are really helpful to explore what is available financing mechanism that can the mayors can utilize. And I noted that also like, so stakeholder engagement is also on your plan. I think I would like to emphasize for mayors who have not put this in their initiative. I think stakeholder engagement and thinking about also your legal frameworks. How can you operate within what is allowed? And it should be very important. I will stop here as we will have actually for the next agenda, we invite the Honorable Mayors of Penang Island City Council in Malaysia. He kindly accepted our invitation to share his city experience in climate financing or use climate financing for the sustainable urban projects in his city. So I would like to invite the Mayor, Honorable Mayor Dato Rajendran Anthony. He has been appointed as a Datuk Bandar or the mayors of Penang Island City Council last year in April. Previously, he was the city secretary, so we couldn't have more experienced person to share with us how Penang Islands working in implementing sustainable urban projects to improve the living condition of those people who choose to live and work in Penang. Is an experienced engineer, a traffic in highway, bridges construction, traffic planning and management, public transport planning and operations. So maybe it's also good to connect Mayor Ani with the, or if you already know each other. So yes, Mayors, the floor is yours. We have around, let me check, we have around 20 minutes for your interventions and also for a later follow-up question and answer session. I can see here some of the mayors already prepared to ask questions for you. Please, Mayor, the floor is yours.
Dr. Majesty Okita Sari, and for information, I know Dr. Ani, who's the Mayor of Ampang Municipal Council. Very good afternoon to all of you. Yes, I'll go through my slides. I think I also would like to say hello to Tuan Haji Muhammad Helmi from Segamat Municipal Council, Mr. Sanjivani Singh from ESCAP, and also the partners of UFCG, ESCAP, and all other distinguished mayors. So, I think for the Penang City Island City Council, our taxes mainly derives from assessment of premises, and also the other major portion comes from contribution from new developments, where we impose charges for new developments so that we can improve the facilities and infrastructures. And on the island, we have about 1,555 units of housing, which we rent out, but we don't get much revenue from that because we cross-subsidize the less fortunate and the disabled and the aging society. And in addition, we collect licensing fees. So all these are used to actually provide for the people of Penang. So if I go through the slides, I think this is a view of our heritage area. The front portion is all flat, without any tall buildings, but further in the island, we have all the tall buildings. In fact, the skyline has grown through the years. Now we have 50, 60-story buildings along the coastal area, further away from the town center. Next. And yeah, there are so many projects we are doing related to climate financing. And first of all is solar roofing. Apart from that is LED street lighting, flood mitigation projects, waste management, used cooking oil for sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel, zero plastic initiative, tree planting, and landscape upgrading projects. So I'll go to solar roofing. So we have, I think, roofed 7 of our buildings, and also we encourage other new developments. In fact, we impose condition on development projects to have at least 50% of their common areas being energized by renewable energy. And how we do it is actually, the next slide, please. So how we do it is, I'll go fast because I have 20 minutes. I quite a number of slides. So these are the locations where we have solar roof. We actually do this through a private finance initiative where the capital cost is actually borne by the private sector, and we have a 15-year period of payback. But yes, so this we have cost savings. So actually we don't incur a single cent. In fact, there are cost savings based on the electricity charges we pay. So this is so the council actually can spread out the cost for other projects instead of having to finance this solar system. These are the buildings we have roofed with zero cost on MBPP, but the payment is through the existing electricity bill. If you are paying $100,000 per month, we are now paying 80,000 to the contractor, the private party entity, and 20% actually is savings for us. So actually there's no capital cost. In fact, we get some savings from the electricity bill.
Mayor, I really apologize. It seems that your slides is not moving. So if you could ask your team to make it full screen and as well to so that I think it's a lot of you put a lot, as you mentioned, you put a lot of informations and photos that we would like to see, but as of now it's not moving.
Okay. Wait, you go to the first slide and then we start. Slide share.
Thank you very much.
Already stop share.
Okay. Go to the first slide.
Okay, share again. Okay.
It's on Transit Center for Homeless. Just the current slide.
Yes. So this is one of the areas, one of the buildings we have roof. This is a platinum rated green building in Penang, and this is used as a night shelter for the homeless. So this is also financed by the state government together with MBPP. We provided the land, and the maintenance of the building is all the energy consumption is all fully covered by the solar roofing. Next. Yeah, the whole of the island actually we have changed from high pressure sodium vapor lights to LED lights. By installing LED lights, we have a savings on the electricity charges about 55 to 60%. We save on the electricity bills, so it's quite substantial. In fact, after implementing this project, we have a cost saving of 1.6 million yearly, and the initial cost has been borne by the private sector, and it's spread out also to 15 years. That means we pay monthly. We pay monthly also. The monthly charges, the monthly cost we provide to the private entity is less than the bill we pay normally using high pressure sodium vapor. So the upgrading and the cost savings are there through private finance initiative without any capital cost to MBPP, the City Council of Penang Island. The whole city is already lighted, fully lighted, 100% lighted with LED. Next.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, I don't know, Subhashini, if you're there, I think those slides still aren't moving. Maybe if you can put on full screen, if that's okay. Thanks, Subha.
It is on full screen.
It is full. It is full screen.
But you know how to do? Immediately, can you help? Can you see it now?
Yes, now we're on flood mitigation projects carried out by MBPP.
Okay. So, but I go to the slides in front so that you can see what I have presented. Go to the. Okay, you see the slides moving now?
Yeah, now you're on Introduction to Penang's Climate Financing Strategy.
Okay. Can you do on presentation mode? Okay, I'll run through the slides fast. Okay, this is what I spoke about, the climate adaptation. You can see that now? Solar rooftop installation.
You're still on Introduction to Penang's Climate Financing Strategy, I think.
I cannot go on presentation mode.
I think it's okay. You can just use this one, but just go through them slide by slide. You just click down. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So there's yearly CO2 reductions to the level of 811 tons per year. by roofing the city council buildings. And it is no capital cost incurred by the city council. So these are the buildings which we have roofed. 7 buildings altogether. This is the night shelter just now I talked about. Next, the solar, the street lights which we have changed from high pressure sodium vapor to LED lights with a savings of 55 to 60%, depending on the age of the lighting. The whole city has been lighted with LED. And flood mitigation projects carried out by MBVP, we have spent quite a lot of money. Through the years, we do it progressively. And these projects are funded several ways. One, the funding comes from City Council itself, some from the state government and federal government. But the interesting fact is that we impose a charge, a contribution on the new development projects, where they contribute based on the acreage of development they are carrying out, the land site, the acreage. And these funds we use for flood elevation projects, flood mitigation projects. So these are the grants, funds we use for flood drainage upgrading and flood mitigation projects. Road grants by the federal government, drainage contribution fund, which we impose on developers, local councils' own fund, and also funding by the federal government. Next. For waste management, we have quite extensive campaigns, quite extensive policy on control of waste, especially usage of plastic. We try to limit. In fact, we impose RM1 for each plastic bag, and on certain days, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesday, we charge RM1 on. No, we don't give out plastic bags on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, we impose a charge of RM1 per plastic bag, and this has caused the usage of plastic bags in supermarkets and retail outlets to drop to 20% compared to the original implementation of this policy in 2017. Now it's only about 20% of usage based on the base year. And our also public-private partnership for the integrated transfer station for solid waste, because we have to transfer our solid waste from the island to the mainland to a facility where they will recycle the material, but the cost of transportation is quite high. So we use silos to transport this material through. Next slide, please. So the solid waste, this is a diagram showing the process involved. Solid waste collected from housing and commercial centers, it will be brought to the transfer station and then compacted into silos, and some of these waste will be recycled. We have a leachate treatment plant there too on the island, and it's transported to the mainland. To actually, the name is Pulau Burung, and it's about 2,000 tons per day that is brought to Pulau Burung for disposal. And the C&D waste we have, mostly we recycle it on the island. We try to make sure that the developers recycle 100% of the C&D waste. Next. And this transfer station also was built. Previous transfer station was built through private finance initiative too, and one before, and it's spread over 20 years. The payment period where we provide for the capital cost and also the cost for transporting the solid waste from the island to the mainland where it is disposed of. Next, compulsory waste segregation at source. We started this awareness program in 2017 and started giving out warning some time ago, and we fully enforced it on 1st of July 2024. So now we try to recycle as much as possible on the island. The recycling rate has increased from last year, 35.38% to 42% early this year, and now it's almost reaching 50% because of this waste segregation at source policy. Next. Collection of recycled used cooking oil. We work with a local petroleum company, Petronas, the biggest, to actually recycle used cooking oil into sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel. They have a facility in Malaysia itself to do the recycling, and it is recycled into aviation fuel and renewable diesel through a process called hydro-processed esters or fatty acids, or hydro-treated vegetable oil. So used cooking oil, we even have competition. The students from the school are very keen on recycling oil, and it is working very well. The quantity of oil being recycled has increased drastically. Previously, it goes into the sewer and into the drainage system and the natural ecosystem and causes a lot of problem, chokeage and pollution. Thanks. Green initiative, one of it is the no free plastic bag policy. So initially we started with 20 cents charges for a single plastic bag. Now we charge RM1 per plastic bag. Previously we only charge on one day of the week, and other days we gave it out free. But now, as I pointed out just now, 3 days you have to pay for it. Every single plastic bag RM1, and the rest of the time it is not provided. Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays not provided, and the other days you have to pay for it RM1. And it has been implemented through the years by introducing tighter policies. Every time it increased to 50 cents, and then now we have no plastic straws completely. 1st October, no more plastic straws, and some of our hawker centers, we have banned the plastic, and they are working with us through awareness program and education. They are willing, they have come forward to actually help us in this endeavor to reduce plastic usage, single-use, especially single-use plastic usage. And we have extensive campaigns for these 5R campaigns. Actually is refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycling of material. We started with the colleges and institutions. Now we go to the preschoolers and also primary school children, where actually we teach them to love and care for the environment, and they are very receptive. It's actually working very well, and we even have competition between the schools, and many schools, I think more than 50 schools take part in this competition yearly. Next. World Cleanup Day, we collaborated with the Malaysian Humanitarian Foundation. It was held in Penang, and this we call everyone, the commercial, the industry, the manufacturing industry, the schools, the institutions, the government institutions, all came together on this day to plant 1 million trees, and it was a successful project. And on that day, we had conferences and workshops, international ones, and then forest planting. We created some areas where we changed our orchid parks and also landscape area into more dense forested areas by planting trees, more trees. And also we are going to have another campaign on 20th of September, World Cleanup Day. Earth Day, we did that April 24th this year. World Cleanup Day on September 20th. We are going to actually go to all the islands and even the hills, hiking trails, to do plugging activities and clean up the rubbish that has floated into this area, washed up the tides that wash this rubbish to these islands, and we are going to clean the 5 islands surrounding Penang. Next, and we are going to also have campaigns with the industry, people from the manufacturing industry, and also schools to clean up the beaches. Okay. So 1 million trees was planted on a single day on April 24th, 2024. And many people came together to actually make this project a success. Next. Landscape upgrading projects. We do this through, I mean, there are entities, there are developers, there are companies, manufacturing, and companies which actually come forward to actually adopt these gardens, roundabouts, and so on to help with they even upgrade these parks and also help with the maintenance. Next. This is one of the example of roundabout. This is a very small one, but we have very, very big ones where they are, these are the big ones, all adopted by private entities and maintained by them. They light up and then they decorate the lighting and have some hardscapes. And some of these roundabouts are beautiful. It's an attraction. And then we build present overhead bridges and help make, we disseminate information through these digital boards which are installed by the sponsors, and we inform the public about environment care and need to sustain the environment through these displays. And we also generate some income for council because 80% of the time they are allowed to advertise, and we get some revenue from this display boards through advertisement. Apart from that, we get the structure free. The pedestrian overhead bridge is free. These are across the road, and a lot of companies, advertising companies, come forward to actually build the bridges and also allow us to use the display boards. It's all free. It's given, the advertisement rights are given for 15 years. Next. So assessing finance, so we get it, as I spoke about it just now, federal government, state government, public-private partnership, public finance initiative, rental of MBPP premises and facilities, charges imposed on new developments. We have several charges on new developments where we collect this money and we provide facilities, new facilities and infrastructure for the public. Cross-subsidizing, that is for development projects where for the affordable and low-cost housing and low-medium cost housing, the developers themselves build this, we impose condition on them, and then they build condos and apartments and they provide affordable and low-cost housing for free. Crowdfunding, funding mainly is for, we do it for, charitable purposes. Recently, we upgraded a facility, a bungalow of ours, and all through funding by various parties, a cancer society to be specific, to house children, and all done by funding by all the parties involved. And green financing fund provided by the local banks. There's so many banks are providing green financing funds, which actually is at a lower interest rate compared to the normal rates. Okay, next. And then MIDA, Malaysian. Okay. Malaysian Investment Development Authority. So they also give out incentives for green projects. Next. Nature-based climate adaptation program for urban areas. Yeah, we receive $10 million funding grant to actually carry out climate adaptation projects. City Council of Penang Island has been provided with 3.525 million USD, and we have already started it. A pocket park and permeable road areas and walkways. We have the first phase of the project is underway, and apart from that, blue and green corridors. They have upgrading of flood mitigation projects and so on, and 3-line streets to reduce the urban heat island effect. So these are the projects done through the adaptation fund. New 3-line streets, backlinks, pocket parks, permeable walkways and bays, connected canopies, and blue-green corridors. Next. Challenges in assessing finance. I think there's just so much to do in this growing city. We can't find enough. The taxes alone, we won't be able to carry out all the projects that are being, requested by the public. So we need to resource for other funds. The challenges that also include the government sectors in Malaysia. We do not borrow from financial institutions, and green projects are limited by policies like solar roofing, because of the quota, and also the 75. What we can transfer back to the grid is limited by the government policies. So although we can solar roof the building, we have a quota. This because part of the energy is generated by private sector, and the government still has to allocate some. They have to care. It will still take some time before the contract with these private entities end. So there's a limitation on the green projects. Heavy investment needed to implementing major projects. The big projects actually we spread it out through a number of years, so that we don't have to come with an upfront financing of huge financing upfront. Cost of implementing projects and carrying out maintenance works has increased, while taxes remain the same or nominal increases only. Yeah, I think every time we increase the taxes, people jump up. So although the cost of implementing projects has increased because the price of materials has increased to an average. I think an average of 30%. The cost of projects has increased, but the taxes we can't increase that much. We increase, I think, 5 to 10% only. Recently we increased 5 to 10%, but the cost of implementing and carrying out maintenance works have actually increased a lot. Accommodating the less fortunate and the differently able and lower income groups. I think we want to do this for the public, but this is also a cost to us, but we don't generate any income. It's provided mainly all free of charge. The premises free of charge. Even for the disabled, parking is free. The rental is at very subsidized rate. Our rental, the housing we provide is at a very subsidized rate. And a lot of facilities are provided free for this less fortunate and differently abled group. Next. Key lessons learned, other sources of fund needed apart from taxes, as I pointed out, public-private finance initiative, contribution from developers, and mainly I think it's about prudent spending. We try to save as much as possible. Only the critical projects are implemented, and it's spread out through a number of years so that to reduce the costs. Projects and programs need to be continued as the city grows. I think the people of Penang are very demanding. Although we don't collect much, we still have to do a lot for the people. So we have to, all the time we are finding ways to actually generate more income or revenue for the city council. Next. I think that's about it. I think my 20 minutes is up also.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Honorable Mayors Anthony. It's really impressive, like so much amount of projects that green projects is also running in Penang Island. I will just, because we are running behind schedule, but I would like to open a few questions from our mayors. I think they have questions for you. We have maybe 2 minutes for our mayors to ask. So a mayor from Turbat, he has raised his hand. Mayor Kazi, please, if you have questions for Mayor Anthony.
Hello, sir. I have a question. My question is, what was the process from accumulating the fund from international organizations? What were the difficulties? How did you manage to convince them to fund, to collect the fund from international agencies for your projects?
Yeah, I think first of all, you have to prove to the agencies, the funders, that you are a sustainable city. I think in Penang, we have taken a lot of effort to make the city sustainable, and this had actually helped us to gain some. I mean, they have an insight on Penang that we have done a lot of sustainable environment projects, especially making Penang plastic free, and also a lot of mitigation project we funded. Now the island, we don't have much flooding compared to 10 years ago. And our waste segregation at source and also recycling, we have done it extensively. And use cooking oil, we recycle it also. And we have a facility here. Many urban farming, there's just so many to talk about. And we are passionate about our green environment. We try not to touch the green spaces. We only do brownfield development. Those green spaces, they are very tight. The conditions are very tight. I think you have to prove yourself first before they can actually consider for funding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the mayors for Mayors Anthony? If not, I think we could stop here and then take a break. Honorable Mayor Anthony, thank you so much for sharing with us. In fact, it's very diverse projects, and I think some of the projects is actually very appealing to our mayors, because they are also aiming to work towards similar projects, for example, in waste management or on the climate proofing infrastructure. Thank you very much for accepting our invitations and for be very kind in sharing your experience and the projects that Penang Island has been undertaking and still undertake. So thank you
Make a
very
visit
much.
to Penang. It's a beautiful, enchanting island.
We would like to do that. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
So, may we request to coordinate with you in regarding our in my city, I'm also looking for your same initiative that you have. So can we coordinate or have a must engage with you in upcoming? We may get help from you.
Sure. We are ever willing to help.
So is it possible?
Yeah, sure. We are prepared to help anyone with the sustainable agenda.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. So I will take your email address or something to contact on you.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will be back in 10 minutes or so to continue with the program. Thank you very much, Mayor Anthony.
Thank
you
you,
very
Miss Mahesti Oti Okitasari.
Thank you. Okay, I think we are at 1 p.m. and I hope all the mayors and colleagues have rejoining the sessions. So let me start this 1/3 of the last part of our session today, which we begins with a presentation from Dato Ong Ben Leng, the Chief Executive Officer of Penang Women's Development Corporations. She has been always very generous with us, in fact, accepting our invitations to share the platforms that the PWDC has become for women empowerment, and as they are aiming to narrow the gender gaps. So Dato' Ong Beleng has been in the education and training industry for many years. I believe it's more than 35 years, and has served in the public and private sectors of the industry in various capacity. So she will introduce to us gender responsive and participatory budgeting, or more famously known as the Penang model. So please, Dato', you have around 15 minutes, as I mentioned earlier, so that we can follow up with the question and answer. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Right. Thank you, Masti. So very good afternoon to all. I know we have people from Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Philippines. A very good afternoon to all. And thank you to Asia Pacific Mayors Academy for inviting us to share our journey in the implementation and the institutionalization of this GRPB, or Gender Responsive and Participatory Budgeting, the Penang model. So when we talk about budgeting, I guess everyone, especially the mayors, have this challenge of how do you then balance the budget, and how do you make sure that the budget actually effectively address some of the issues and concerns at the ground. So I hope that today's session will give you some ideas, probably some inspiration on how you can actually use this GRPB in your budgeting. Budget, of course, have to be very responsive, and in this, we also say that if possible, it has to be participatory, because a gender budget which is responsive and participatory will probably address some of the issues about inclusiveness, as well as when you talk about the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, right? So leaving no one behind. So this is actually one of the methodology or the strategy to achieve gender equality. Okay, I'm going to start off with this slide. So some of you may or may not know where is Penang. Just now the mayor of Penang Islands has already introduced and talked about Penang. So please come to Penang. So I just need to echo what he has said. It is said in Yahoo Travel, this is one island that you must visit before you die. That's what they said. All right. So Penang Island, Penang, the state, is one of the 13 states in Malaysia, and there are actually 2 councils. Right, so if I were to take you a short journey, okay, if you go around, this is the island of Penang, and then you can cross the bridge, and if you go around this area, this is the mainland. So Penang state actually covers 2 portions. One is the city, the island, and we call it the Penang Island City Council, as well as the mainland, which is the Seberang Perai City Council. So there are 2 parts already. Most welcome to come to any part of it, all right? Okay, now, why do we talk about this GRPB? Maybe to give you a contextual background. So we say that the budget has to be responsive and participatory because of the inclusiveness. So we do emphasize on inclusiveness, so that we actually do cater to every segment of the society, be it the men, be it the women, be it the young, the old, as well as the probably the differently abled or people with special ability and all that. So all of them we do have to consider. And we say that this is actually a methodology in terms of gender mainstreaming for gender equality. And you know that everybody knows, right, there are the 17 goals of the SDG. So one of the goals specifically call out for gender equality, goal number 5, gender equality and women's empowerment. And we said that the goal number 5 actually is embedded in all other goals, all other 16 goals, meaning to say that we may not be able to achieve SDG, okay, if we do not achieve gender equality. So I'm just putting the importance of gender equality here. And GRPB is a methodology when you do budgeting that we hope that is able to address or able to achieve this gender equality, this goal. Okay, so in the GRPB, there are two components to it. One is the GRB, which is the gender responsive budgeting. And then we have the participatory budgeting. So if you look into some literature, you find that responsive means we are putting accountability to the policymakers and also to the government agencies, as well as you, mayors, in making sure that the budget that you allocate out is responsive to gender. So responsive or sensitive to the needs of the people. On the right-hand side, we also talk about participatory budgeting, saying if you look at this cartoon, it actually talks about it, So, as a local government, as a local council, we should be also talking to the people themselves, because we also need to empower them for one, but most of the issues and all that, actually they will know. And better still, mayors, just a sharing, in fact, you'll find that some of the solutions are with them. They know the solutions. And of course, in doing so, we are actually empowering them and making them the agents of change. So these two, actually, we merged these two, the GRB and the PB, to become GRPB, gender responsive and participatory budgeting. Okay, a quick look at the model. If you look at it on the left-hand side, the government is the one who is looking into the gender responsive budgeting. So in it, we say, okay, the government's representing, are we addressing the representation on the ground? Is good governance, is part of gender mainstreaming. If you look at it, so this is how a government address the citizen. And the citizen, conversely, okay, become a partner in the whole process. So budgeting, projects and all that, the citizens become partners. They are no more just the receiver or the service receiver, but they are becoming partner to the local council. And definitely you will actually looking at community empowerment as well as looking at a democratic space. This is the perfect model. And if you look at it, we actually have what we call a top-down and a bottoms-up approach. So it's a full cycle. That is the beauty of the GRPB, right? And additionally, GRPB is a whole of government approach, which then links the community themselves, the government agencies, and even sometimes to a certain extent the private sector and also the NGOs. So we are bringing everybody together when we look into projects, when we look into development, right? GRPB also bridges the gap between the service users, which are the community, as well as the service provider, which are the local councils. And it provides good governance, gender equality, diversity, principles of inclusion. So all the beautiful things, is actually happening using the GRPB. Now, GRPB, last but not least, recognizes the often significant difference between the different needs of different people. So we have a very simple tagline, which is called different people, different needs. And this is when we look into the intersectionality. Sometimes you look at difference between men and women's needs. Even among the women themselves, we also go and dissect and see what else, women are not homogeneous. Men also are not homogeneous. In it, we could be looking at people who are working, people who are not working, people who are full-time housewife, and so on and so forth. All right, so we do look into all these different needs of the different people. I'm going to just share, in this GRPB, we actually have what we call two main traction. One is community project, the other one is on the structure and also the mechanism as well as the cycle. And this is where we say that how we institutionalize the GRPB. Okay, I will start with the community project. Okay, one. So we started actually with local council, the two local councils that I mentioned just now. So we started with the PPR. PPR stands for the public housing, right? So indeed, we started, that was back in 2012. So it's like a 12 years journey, that we actually have been using this GRPB methodology. And then we move on to the state level, and we move on to many other projects. Okay, and this is finally we had a policy. just wanted to share with you, it's not just in housing projects, yeah. So you can see the transformation using a GRPB approach when we transform some of the housing areas. Also public spaces, for example, markets, recreational areas. We also have projects that we work with the community themselves, because then they decide with a certain budget, what would they think is best? How do they think best to spend the money? Okay, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to talk about this final one, the collaborative project. So from using the GRPB approach, we actually went to the community, and there was actually some issues about cleanliness, because previously the council do outsource cleanliness and all that to third party. So when the third party come in, fair, good enough, everything is clean. But in a matter of 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes, you find the place is become dirty again. All right. So through this GRPB approach, we actually try and find solutions to it.
Liz, I think I'm facing issues. Is the video seems to be stopping? Is it only me or?
Let me
No,
check first.
also here with, okay. Oh, now it's moving.
Yeah. All right. So these are some of the methodology used. Yeah. Sorry, I think my line is a bit slow. Are we good? Are we good?
Yes, you're good.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. So just to share some of the program that we are doing, right? I just wanted to share a fact that we may think that housing, public housing actually would have the same needs. Ladies and gentlemen, not really. So I just make a comparison between these two projects, and we find that on the left, this is actually the Jalan Sungai. We find that actually the residents requested or voted for building maintenance. They find that the building was a bit rundown, is a bit dirty and all that, and the leaves and some of the infrastructure is not functioning well. So they voted for building maintenance. However, the one on the right actually showed that they, instead of looking at infra and all that, they were looking for recreational park. So just to emphasize the point that when we go to the ground, you find that the needs of the people actually differs. Okay, even though it's the same, it's a public housing. Okay, so this is what requested, and thus it was actually proposed, and it went up, and this is the changes that was made, right? So just wanted to emphasize the importance of listening to the people. Okay. And this is actually some of the process when we actually get the do the participatory budgeting. Yeah, so we do surveys, we have focus group discussion, we even have voting, so because there were a long list, if you ask the residents normally or the people, they'll probably give you a whole long list. And then we ask them to vote. Okay, part of democracy, right? So we ask them to vote and say which is the one that they put priority. And of course, last but not least, always go back and present to them the decision of the local government. Okay. So this is a short process. I wanted to emphasize this also, the importance also of segregating the focus group discussion into different groups. Because from our experience, we find that if we were to do a town hall, you get the men and the women to come together. All right, so the man is the one who will normally say a lot of things, right? And then the woman will say, we've asked the woman say, no, never mind, my husband already said it. Oh, he already mentioned. So the voices of the women are not heard, right? So what we do is when we do a focus group discussion, we will segregate them into different groups. So we have women, and then we have women who are teenagers, adults, and also the elderly. And then we also have the men who are the teenagers, the adults, and also the elderly. So when we actually put them into all this more homogeneous group, you find that the information they give is actually more concrete, more precise, and really shows the need of the different people. Okay. And of course, the differently abled people, yeah, right? These are some of the findings when we actually did the whole project and all that. We actually did a sort of a study to find what is the impact of this GRPB on the community, right? If you look at it, it's a lot of positive impact. Okay. And of course, then we also see there is a difference in the impact of GRPB on women and on men. You will see there is a difference. Women feel that they are more empowered. They have self-realization. They are more satisfied, and they feel that they are now engaged in the whole process of the community. Whereas the men finds that empowerment is only for women. They do recognize the strong or the leadership of the women, but they find that the women may not be able to have that bandwidth, may not be able to have the strength about networking. So this is some of the findings, interesting finding. Yeah. And some of the the prizes that we won internationally using the GRPB. I just wanted to do a quick one that in this process, after the whole process of the GRPB, we went ahead and we institutionalized GRPB into what we call the gender inclusiveness policy, right? So this is this is the budget cycle. So in each of the budget cycle also, I think every council also will have their own budget cycle. And in the formulation, also get the people to give feedback. And when you're looking at adoption, which are the priority and all that. So there would be also the policymakers to look into it. Also importantly is when we do the implementation, we also engage the community, to give us a feedback whether this is what they want and all that, And of course, finally, the evaluation. Okay, the second year. This is the policy that I'm talking about. Okay. So in the whole of Malaysia, only in Penang that we actually have the gender inclusiveness policy. And in this policy, with this policy, it actually provides a framework or a way for the government department to exercise, the GRPB. So if you look at it, the GRPB is actually implementation strategy number 4. And then the rest of it is to make the gender inclusiveness policy more holistic, more wholesome. Okay. And just to share a bit, there were some questions. Why is it not called gender equality policy? Just a sharing in Malaysia, equality sometimes do not condone the positivity or the possibility as compared to inclusiveness. So when we use the term inclusiveness, so, we include the men and the women and the children and the elderly and the differently abled people and all that, then the conversation actually opens up rather than just saying gender equality. Yeah. So this is some of the challenge. And last but not least, that's our tagline: different people, different needs. I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to speed through because I was saying that normally it takes me 3 hours to talk about this. I have to do it in 15 minutes. Back to you, Mahesti.
Thank you very much, Dato. I mean, like it's I really like the tagline, the different people, different needs, and the way your presentations is actually show how to do that through budgetings. I think I'm sure our mayors have their takeaway from your presentations, especially with regard to them when they do mentions in their initiative early on that they need community buy-in for the projects that they were doing, and I think gender responsive and participatory budgeting is one way, as you mentioned. How would you do with the regarding participations and how to make it in a different groups to ensure that all their thoughts and its aspirations is being counted on. Thank you very much. I have 1 minute in case the mayors have any urgent questions for Dato' Ong Beng Lang here. If not, I think we can share your contact, and I think we can reach out to you if they have urgent questions regarding the participatory budget, gender responsive and participatory budgeting. Thank you
So
very
just
much.
now the mayor of the Penang City Council have invited you to come over. If you do come over, yes, come and visit us, and we'll share with you more about how what are the good practices and probably to avoid some of the pitfalls when we implement the GRPB. But very interesting process, mayors. Please look into it. and to consider, because this is actually a way to really address all the issues of the, especially at the ground. And we know budget is always very limited. It's very limited. So it's important that we actually make sure that, you know, budget or the money, the public money, public funding is spent accordingly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As Tam mentioned in the chat that actually the Malaysian Urban Forum will be held in Penang and in October. So looking forward to that. I'll move to the one that I have in my agenda, which is we have Dr. Srinivasa Popri, who's kindly agreed to introduce the rapid own source revenue. He will provide the background first before we move to recorded video from our colleague in UN Habitat Nairobi. Sri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. And also to Madam Hong, terima kasih banyak. Different people, different needs, limited budgets, and Project Kita. So we take the offer to come and visit you in Penang and look at those Project Kita. So I think here's the message for all the mayors that are present today. In Malayan Bahasa, it is called Kita Mau, Kita Bisa. So if we think we can do it, right? So distinguished mayors, on that note, that are present today, it has been a warm pleasure following your progress and being updated of your innovative ideas and also evolving projects. So thank you, Dr. Maheshri, my colleague from UNUIIS, for facilitating this session and also leading the Module 6 on urban finance, along with Sanji from ESCAP and Liz from UCLG ASPAC, and my own colleague, Tam from UN Habitat. So excellent contributions to the development of this module. So thank you very, very much. So distinguished mayors, you know, as a reality, you all know well in your capacities as mayors, a robust budgetary framework with ample checks and balances underlies your ability to successfully provide all the basic urban services to the citizens, to the residents of your cities, and make City Hall accountable to the people that we serve, right? So according to the OECD, the subnational governments are the key policy actors, accounting for approximately 55% of the total public investment on an average. So 55% of the total public investment are responsible by the subnational governments like many of you. So at the same time, it is estimated 55% of the municipalities, they all have a common concern of lack of public funding as a major barrier for any sustainable and inclusive growth in their cities. So the 55% is also an estimate budget deficit to address a US 15 trillion infrastructure gap. So imagine, so these numbers are mind-blowing. So for this reason, I'm very delighted to introduce my colleague, Kate, from our Planning, Finance and Economy section of UN Habitat headquarters. She is specialized in urban finance, who will be leading us through an overview of rapid own source revenue assessment tool. We call it as ROSRA for short. So which can hopefully help all of you to foster mutual understanding on some of the levers which can maneuver as mayors. So I strongly encourage you to have any bilateral discussions. If you have any queries with Kate, we can facilitate that so that you can test this tool in your own cities. So connecting us online through pre-recorded video. So this is Kate, my colleague. Before she joined UN Habitat, she worked with the city of New York, where she was responsible for the use of city capital to finance the construction and affordable housing, major task in New York. So special thanks to my other colleague, Lenny, who some of you or maybe the moderators are quite familiar, who facilitated this lecture for the previous cohorts. So Lenny is leading the municipal finance and having helped to develop ROSRA, and having previously providing the technical assistance to almost 20 countries in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So let me hand over the floor to the facilitators who are showing the presentation and pre-recorded video of Kate. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Sri. Thank you very much for providing the groundworks before we move to Kate's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So in the next 13 minutes, we hear the recorded video from Kate. Liz, if you could please start.
Lenny and I are from the Finance and Economy unit at UN Habitat, and our unit's role is fairly broad. So we work on economic development, local economic development, and we work on city financial initiatives. But we spend a lot of our time working with governments on their own source revenue, improving it, helping, to develop strategies around it, etc. Next slide, please. And that is what we are here to talk to you about today. So we know you're all familiar with own source revenue. We saw it in your homework assignments in your presentation. So we're just going to very briefly talk about it. Then we're going to introduce you to our tool, which is an online tool called the Rapid Own Source Revenue Analysis, or otherwise called ROSRA for short. And then we're going to give you a demo of the tool, and you all will get to use it yourselves. And then we'll kindly request you to complete the tool for homework in the next week. Next slide, please. Thank you. So own source revenue. Again, you're all familiar with it. It will vary. The specific sources of own source revenue will vary between each context. But it's all of the revenue sources that you as local governments have control over levying yourself. And the chart on the right demonstrates an ideal local government revenue budget. So we have a large portion from intergovernmental transfers, some bond funding, some loan funding, some grants, but also a large portion of the budget, over 1/3, comes from own source revenue. And this is really ideal and important. If you can go to the next slide, please. And again, this will be a recap, I think, for most of you, but there are many benefits of own source revenue, starting from the most, basic and fundamental, which is making sure you have enough funds to pay for your own services to the public. But also it improves public perception. It creates more accountable governments. When the government is fulfilling their guarantees, the public is more likely to pay their taxes, pay their fees. And so it will create this loop where the government is listening to the constituents and fulfilling their promises, delivering services. The public is paying their financial obligations. It also allows more independence from the national government. Local governments can fund their own priorities and not necessarily spend their money on what the national government has earmarked funds for, etc. And as touched on by earlier presenters, OSR is really the foundation of capital investment. So you can directly fund your projects with OSR, as many of you are planning to do, at least in part. But also it is a great foundation for demonstrating that you are a good risk for lenders and other investors. So if you have reliable income, reliable own source income, year after year, that demonstrates to investors that you can pay your debt service and that you are a good, that you have good credit and that you are a good investment for them. So we know that it has all of these benefits, own source revenue, and yet we find that local governments are often not leveraging all of the income that they can at the local level. often, we say that that local governments are only leveraging about 20% of their total potential revenue. And so why is this? Well, I'm sure as you all have found in your own governments that it is very challenging increasing own source revenue for a variety of reasons, whether it's, lack of capacity on the local level, lack of, funding to spend on OSR reforms, or just that these are very challenging, politically sensitive taxes, often at the local level. And so often, since there are so many potential issues that you can run into when you're reforming your revenue systems, it can be helpful to have outside consultation come in, take a serious look at your revenue history and your policies, and help you identify which is the main primary issue that you want to focus on first. Because often we find there might be like one or two main bottlenecks that would be important to focus on before the others. If you go to the next slide, please, okay. Thank you. And so keeping this in mind, that it would be nice to have external consultation sometimes on your OSR systems. And this is something that UN Habitat does ourselves, where we will go into local governments, spend a couple of weeks there talking to the revenue administration, looking at historical documents and coming up with, strategy ideas for reforms. But this consultation process also has its flaws. So, and these are three of the problems that we were thinking of as we developed our online rapid own source revenue analysis tool. So first, this consultation process, this in-person consultation is very time intensive. It takes a lot of work to go into the government and really try to establish what is going on there and what the issues are. And then second, local governments often don't have money to dedicate to these consultation services. And third, every city, I think, ideally would benefit from OSR consultation, but there aren't enough experts to go around to every city. So given these three issues, we sought to develop our rapid own source revenue analysis online tool to address these and to help local governments do this process on their own. Next slide, please. Thank you. So enter the rapid own source revenue analysis tool, ROSRA. So this tool endeavors to bring the in-person consultation process online. And it's also a self-analysis tool. So local governments will input their information, their revenue information, into the online tool. And the tool will produce a visual analysis of the issues, the historical issues with revenue, and also identify a few main problem areas that the government should work on first before working on any other challenges. So this timeline demonstrates how long we've been working on this tool from the concept in 2013 to now, when it's online and usable, and we're trying to get it into the hands of local governments to work on and identify their own issues. So we're really excited that you all will get to work with it today. And so just some additional details about the tool. It should be able to be completed in about 1 to 2 hours. If you have all of the information readily available, you can just put it in and it should not take that much time. So it has a main focus on visualizing the information and the historical data. And this is really helpful if you need to demonstrate, any revenue related items to others in the government. And so it's designed mainly for low and middle income cities. And the final analysis will produce the two main barriers that you need to work on for your OSR improvement. Okay, next slide, please. So this, before we get into the demo, I just wanted to walk you through how the process will work. So there are 5 steps that you will go through as you complete it. The first one is called general, and this is where you'll input your city's population data, your GDP per capita, and your household size. Then the performance section is where you will input your actual revenue data, your own source revenue, your total revenue, your transactional revenue, etc. And so this step, the performance and the performance analysis section, is designed to identify whether there is an issue with own source revenue. Because if there's not an issue, then there's no point in doing reform. I think, as I mentioned before, most cities could improve on their own source revenue. But still, this step is essential to identify that, there are challenges that you should specifically work on. So then step 3, as mentioned, this will visualize the information that you input in step 2 in charts. And we're going to pull this up very shortly, but just to give you a little overview. Then step 4 is the problem information, where you will answer a series of multiple choice questions about your revenue administration. And then step 5 is where this will be visualized in chart format. And also where the main barriers will be identified. Next slide, please. So these are the potential issue areas. And also these are the different sections in the problem analysis tab that you will complete. So there are 9 total, and they're divided into 3 broad categories. So the first category, national OSR environment. This is where you will answer questions about your local authority to leverage OSR. Do you have the authority by law to levy taxes, and which taxes? And also, what types of incentives the national government has in place to promote own source revenue at the local level. Then the second category, local OSR environment. This is where you'll answer questions about what incentives there are for the revenue administration, such as, what are your audit procedures? Are they highly functioning, etc. And then also, does the revenue administration have the materials and the funds necessary to implement OSR? That's the capacity section. Then the third category is the revenue administration. And this, as you can see, has the majority of sections. I think it has 5. So you'll answer questions about your strategy, how you're allocating your resources to leverage OSR, whether your digital systems are working well, how you are estimating your tax base and valuation, how you are increasing and estimating your tax rates, and how your tax collection systems are working. Yes, so again, we'll go into the Rapid Own Source Revenue online tool, and we'll take a look at these categories, but just to give you an overview of the potential areas that it will identify as needing improvement. Next slide, please. Great.
Thank you very much, Liz, for sharing the the videos of Katie explaining about introducing ROSRA. So dear mayors, actually we have two parts of the presentations. The other part of the presentation dive very deep on how to actually operate ROSRA. And I think our colleague from UN Habitat has generously will share with you the link to the ROSRA. So it's for you to try. And I think the other part of the presentations, the recorded presentations of Katie, will help you to sort of like to go through how to navigate ROSRA. Right.
Indeed. Yeah, thanks. I'm just dropping the link in the chat now. So very much welcome to have a look at that. And then if you're interested, please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to arrange a separate facilitated discussion to look at how it could be applicable in your cities there as well. Very happy to assist.
Okay, so I think it would be very, very beneficial for many of the mayors, since many of you, I know maybe each of you indicate OSR will be the source of your financing modality for your initiative. So I think going through the ROSRA, perhaps it's I think the tool itself is already very helpful, but as Tam here kindly mentions that if you need anything, you please feel free to reach out to him, and I think he should be able to advise you how to further maybe to link it with Katie and Kate and our colleague Lenny in the headquarters. So I think since we have only 18 minutes left and we have two agenda, one is for the interactive discussions and also briefly on land-based financing. If Sam, could you please kindly pull back? So yes, initially the plan is to have this as an interactive discussion for 25 minutes, but I think we may only have around 15 minutes or so. But I think I just because as I mentioned earlier, when I looked through all your initiative, most of them are actually quite compatible to a land-based financings, and then I think it would be nice to sort of share with you what is a land-based financing and what kind of tools that instrument that the mayors can utilize. Next slide, please. So land-based financing is actually I believe like it's a potentially known instruments to you, and but often maybe not much being used to finance in infrastructure investment. So land-based financing itself is sort of a way of ensuring that the benefits generated by your infrastructure projects can increase property values and help fund other projects, for example. So there are three sort of like steps of land-based financing. The first one is creating the land value, which means that it's aimed to direct and fostering investment and public actions. This is including urban plans and urban projects. And then recover, creating sorry, I think I'm mistaken. It's supposed to be land value return first and then land value recovery. So land value returns is creating like a new public investments using the value recyclings and then applying urban and legal instruments, charges and fees and so on. Next slide, please. So how does urban land value increase? So just imagine this like unused land or land that is not productive. What cities can do is improve the infrastructures or make the amenities much better. And after that, changing the zonings or creating regulations with regard to making a more dense developments. And in the end, creating a mechanism where you can sold the rights to floor area to funds another betterments of amenities and improvement of infrastructures in other area. Next slide, please. So it's a virtuous cycle of value utilizations. If you're thinking about doing climate resilient projects, for example, once land's value increases, that resulting from public action, whether you've been improving the infrastructure or make the amenities better, they can reinvest it in more sort of equitable climate resilient actions. We can start with public climate actions, for example, and then recover the values and create a revenue out of it and invest it in another climate actions and creating climate resilient communities. And in the end, it will create like sort of like additional investment to fund other projects. For example, this is the data that I found from the link that I provided below from the OECD regarding, for example, for urban trees and tree cover. And in the case of Portland, if you increase the urban trees and tree covers in Portland, it will increase the price of the land values up to more than 12,000 US dollars within the 30 meters of these urban trees and tree covers. For green infrastructure and open space, I think Buenos Aires has an experience that it's increased the 30% of their lighting streams, and in the end, it's also increased the values of the land. And for public transportations, the lesson learned from Beijing is that once you install public infrastructures, public transportations, I'm sorry, it's increased 20% of the land values with the rail proximity to the rail. Next slide, please. So land value capture instrument in general, there are many different names, but in my understanding, you can group them into 5 different types. The first one is infrastructure levy, which is related to fees that you can estimate it based on the cost of improvement or the land value increments, either of them, or sometimes cities use a combination of both. The second one is developer obligations. So you provide a permit for developers in turn of kind contributions, either building some public infrastructure, park, or even housings. The fees can be calculated using established rules, which means that the city needs to set up the rules for developer obligations, or it can be negotiated case by case with the developers. There are also charges for development rights. I think it was briefly mentioned during the presentation of Mayor of Penang Island. These charges can be used to rezone the, for example, part of your cities for higher density, or can be used for rezoning in different use. And it's mostly the tools that they are using is establishing a fair. The third one is land readjustment or land pooling. It's quite, I think, common in several countries like Japan, even Indonesia or Brazil, or also India, I think. But that's it's a very lengthy process and mostly often require public participations. And the criteria of allocation that the city can use is either using land value or land area or both. And the last one is strategic land management. So this is a type of development that carry out by the governments or by cities prior to selling of the land that the government owned. So this land value capture instrument you can see in the graph, actually many cities are using it, at least 2 of them, combinations. Now, often they combine, for example, infrastructure levy with the charges for developments or strategic land management with developer obligation and so on. It depends on the context of the cities and which are possible for you to take up. Next slide, please. So these instruments can actually be promoted both on privately owned and public lands, and depending on the local council. But this is just in general the practice. For privately owned land, usually the land value capture instruments that can work or the city can use is infrastructure levy, developer obligation, charges for development rights, and land readjustment. Those usually work for privately owned land. But for publicly owned land or land that owned by the governments, strategic land management is usually the key way to do it. There are several ways, but the most common one is using sale or lease of the land that owned by the government and is undergoing public infrastructure upgrades. The second one is sale or lease of the land with development conditions. For example, it's just in between of negotiating with the private developers or with the private sectors that this can be leased and the private sector develop, and then the co-financing between the government, the cities, and the private sector in regard to betterment of the infrastructures. Next slide, please. So, so the land value is in this graph you see like the instruments actually allowing for cost sharing in the initial development stage, which can help redistribute the development activation costs. So, for example, this as mentioned is working on undeserved land. Working on undeserved land is usually creating barriers for developments. It is high risk profile, cost carry-on concern, free rider problems. So what the cities can do is actually co-financing it to provide creating a development enablers. This can be from DRR or slum upgrading or providing hard infrastructure or rezoning the land. So this is a work that the middle line is the public upgrades with value capture opportunity. Next slides. Actually, this is the case study that we were preparing for you. But I don't think we have enough time. Maybe we only have like around 10 minutes. But so the idea is to think of that your city is actually facing high population growth and you were considering a growth corridor. But this growth corridor is actually can attract high density commercial developments in all these. This is on your left screen is your imaginary cities. Those are the development corridors. But the city needs to develop first basic infrastructures and extend utilities. And the cities currently only have two access to funding sources, which is their OSR and the intergovernmental transfer. And implementing land-based financing is actually one way to do that. Next slide, please. I think the solutions that I would like to think about, since the area development plans are best positions to increase the value of the land, the instrument that is we pre-selected here is development of developer obligations and charges for development rights that work for a private land and strategic land development. But often also in this type of projects, there are issues to consider. For example, local revenue collections rate is low, developments is mostly concentrated in wealthier areas and lack of data, for example, lack of affordable, well-located housings. Can we put out the Miro? I think we can have just like around 5 minutes to hear your thoughts. Or you can also like sort of think about using the land-based financing for one of your initiative or that you have in mind. I put it here, potential strategies for actions. If we can zoom in a little bit for the mayors to be able to see the green one. So there are available strategies that can link to these land-based financings. First, for example, enacted new ordinance, zoning changes, understanding of the land markets, dialogues, capacity building, improving land cadastry and registry, and regulations or put the regulation with regard to zoning, infrastructure improvement. I just wanted to hear your thoughts, like after we were just briefly discussed about land-based financing for the mayors. If you were given a chance to do land-based financing, what kind of executive order that you would like to put in place? Like just the first one, if you can reflect on your city, what is missing, whether it is first to improve the land registry or look at your zoning. We would like to hear from you. I think we can also discuss this in more detail in the feedback sessions, but this is just a very brief like touch upon the land-based financing. I think I would like to invite the three mayors that I saw like turning on their camera, either Mayor Annie or Mayor Gana or Mayor Kazi. If you have any thoughts on, if you have experience on land-based financing, that's also very welcome. And what kind of issues that you are facing.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Again, in our municipality, the land-based financing is the most important revenue collection in our municipality. Near about 52 to 53% revenue collection will come from land-based financial. So it is the most important revenue collection in our university. So in our university, it is a collective name for us, given to a range of instrument by which local government expand their revenue base and generate funds that will help us realize their service delivery, infrastructure development, and maintenance goals, and contribute to sustainable urbanization. So it is our most important for land based financial. So we are also including annual on improvement immovable property is also public land lease. We are doing also going to giving the public land to giving the lease also. There is also in the public land, they will put the stall or the shopping, likewise this type of the marketing side. We collect the revenue from them, like in the marketing sector, they will, and then we collect from the revenue. And public land lease, public land sales, developer exaction, classical land value sharing, betterment charges, and the special assessment transfer for development rights, and borrowing from the capital market. We are also doing this type of the project. So the most important things are these: the land revenue collection, the most sources of our revenue is land users also. So land ownership, they are the public assets, and from their land sales and buys and sales, and then we'll get the tax also. So we are the most important revenue collection from the land-based financing in the practice side in our municipality.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Actually, I wanted to add on that, like, or my questions on you, like, since I think Chandra is very experienced in land-based financing, what kind of mechanism that you actually put in place with regard to that?
Mechanism is the local government in our every ward. There are our bureaucrats, the administration officers are doing in their wards also, and we have make the act also from the assembly, from assembly, and then the taxes are take the annual tax, which is the access the different type of the category in there. So in the marketing area, the rural area, this type of the rural area, this type of the land based in our revenue collection, and with the act when the passed from the assembly and the executive board members, and then we will do the in our books, and we are providing from the books, and then the public also collect from the wards office and the other officers collect up from our municipality central office.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw that Mayor Kasi raised his hand. Mayor Kasi, if you have questions to me or to Mayor Ghana.
No, I don't have a question to Mayor Ghana, but I just want to give an information regarding what is the process here in my city. In Pakistan, province of Balochistan, we have a separate department, ministry, which is a revenue department, and all those land, transfer and those revenue comes from that. It's generated for the certain department. We only get the 2% share from the amount of which generated from the transfer fees. So we didn't have the authority or much earning from this certain as Mayor Ghana as mentioned. But yes, we must look at the the forming the changes in land reforms, but another aspect that we have such projects which are generated by or created or developed by municipalities. So we have the we can earn from those projects. We have the authority of transfer, transfer, and we took a fee certain amount. But those only two kind of projects that is initiated by the municipality before me, and before 20 to 30 years ago. So yeah, those are the only two kinds of projects that we can earn from those projects by transfer or revenue transfer, land transfer, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mayor Kasi. I think it's really helpful to provide for you to provide context in Pakistan and Jordan in particular with regard to land use. I noted that, and I think it will be useful later on for our discussions. I think we reached the end of our sessions, and I think we have a few more minutes. I think it's ESCAP colleague will coming and then share with us the next step regarding the feedback sessions. So we will be having that to help you fine-tuning your initiative and make it more easier to implement, and also to move to the bankable projects sessions. Clinton?
Hi, am I audible, visible?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, your audio, Oki, went a bit, I couldn't hear you for the last minute or so, but it's okay. I knew you asked me to present on the next step for the initiatives for the mayors. So thank you very much to the mayors that have responded. So there was two pieces of communication. Last month in August, we asked mayors to reconfirm their initiatives and send back to us a short summary of your topic, just to reconfirm your initiative. I think we had about a 85-90% response rate, and we're reconfirming who to link those initiatives up with in terms of experts. And then you should have received an email from Sam from ESCAP on the 2nd of September asking you to complete the initiative poster, which really is the important content for us to send to the expert that we have partnered with you to help develop your initiative. So in the next 2 weeks, in the lead up to you finishing and graduating from the academy, we would like to really put the emphasis, the focus on the development and completion of these initiatives. And in order to do that, we have some feedback sessions that we want to schedule with you and the experts. So we know that sorry, I was just looking at the chat there. So if you haven't received the emails, please let us know, copy in Sam and myself from ESCAP as soon as possible after the meeting, and we will get those emails to you and the instructions. So over the next 2 weeks, we're looking to schedule these feedback sessions either next week, the 18th, 19th, 20th September, or the 25, 26, 27. But we need to line up the times of the experts and the mayors. So first of all, we're trying to see which experts are available at what times, and then we will get back to the mayors to see where we can line up on the schedule. So we know it's not easy with time differences and of course commitments as an elected official to deliver for your city, but we'll try to find a time where where we can organize a one-on-one feedback session, maybe not even one-on-one, but even you and a handful of experts that can go through your initiative and really provide key targeted feedback and guidance on how you can take it forward. So the initiative, the last few editions of the Mayor's Academy has been the key outcome of the Academy, and we want to make sure that yours are the best that we've had in the 5 or 6 years of the Academy. And we've learned also how to try and improve the process of the initiative development. So if you haven't received the emails, the communications, please do email Sam and myself, and we will fix that as soon as possible. I think, is there one more slide? Next slide. So we have received, for example, completed templates from Bako and Lamki Chuha. So a reminder for the mayors to check your inboxes for that email from Sam from ESCAP that came on the 2nd of September. We did have the deadline as yesterday to complete these posters or these initiative templates. So please double check that, and if you haven't completed them, please return to us straight away so we can actually send them to the expert that we have linked you up with to provide the best possible support. So we'll be in touch with you to try and find a time, even if it's just 30 minutes, to go through your initiatives with the experts in the next couple of weeks. So I see there's a few comments in the chat. If I may just have a look. Okay, so Mayor Singh from Nepal asking to be resent the initiatives. And yes, Sam is also commenting there as well. Okay, thank you to the Mayor from Chandragiri. So that's all from me. If you have, I know we're out of time today, so if you have any questions, please feel free to email Copy and Sam and myself so we can progress the initiatives over the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much. It's great to see how far you've all come and that you're still attending the sessions, and I think they're worthwhile. So thanks to all the honourable mayors and of course the Academy faculty partners for doing all the great work putting the sessions together. Thank you.
Clinton, Mayor Turbat raised his hand. Maybe he has questions for you. Mayor
Yeah,
Turbat.
I have a question for Clinton that you mentioned about this, the feedback sessions. So is it be online sessions or through email? So what would the process of the feedback sessions that you mentioned about next week and upcoming the week?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, for the question. So once we've found a time with that the expert is available, we'll check with you if any of those times are available for a meeting, probably only 30 minutes, to go through your initiative. If we cannot find a time in the next couple of weeks, the feedback will have to be via email. So, but that's still of value, but we would prefer to have the one-on-one session done online. So we've offered 6 days of times. It's actually the same time as the Mayor's Academy. So that's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bangkok time on those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the next 2 weeks. So please keep that in mind. So we'll see when the experts are free and when the mayors are free, and try as best we can to match up those times. If not, as I said, happy to facilitate direct email feedback and communication.
Okay, thank you so much.
I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton. Just to add another work for the mayors, I think we also be sending a template for the homework for the module 6B, but it's actually not as
Yeah.
because you had done the
Right,
difficult
sure,
part
possible
today
60 lakh go, na?
for 6A. So there's for the 6B, it's just a more detailing on your choice of financing modalities and on within certain timeline, for example, within the next 6 months, 1 year, and like that. So it's just fine. I think some of them already be more very detailed and your 6A homework, so it wouldn't be that difficult, I think. So it's just the material for us to discuss also in the 2 weeks. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry we are 10 minutes behind, and but I would I appreciate so much on your active participations today, and stay healthy and stay safe until we meet again in 2 weeks. So take care and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. No,
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, fellow Miss. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Madam.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Annie.